For millennia, the story of Bani Israil, the children of Israel, has captivated humanity. It's a narrative etched into sacred texts, whispered through generations, and debated in academic halls. But what does history, aided by the spate of archaeology, truly tell us about this ancient people? Today, we're embarking on a deep dive, separating myth from evidence, and exploring the incredible journey of Bani Israil through the lens of modern scholarship. First, let's clarify who we're talking about. The term Bani Israil literally means children of Israel. In an Islamic context, it refers to the descendants of the prophet Jacob, or Jacob, who was also known as Israel. The name Israel itself is thought to mean servant of God, or bounded to God by the covenant. It's a term that has resonated across cultures, identifying communities like the Banu Israil Muslims in India, who claim Jewish origin. Crucially, it's vital to distinguish the ancient Banu Israil, a historical and religious people, from the modern political state of Israel, established in 1948. Our focus today is on the ancient narrative. The Hebrew Bible paints a vivid picture of Israel's origins. It begins with the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, migrating to Canaan, entering a divine covenant. Then comes the dramatic exodus from Egyptian slavery, led by Moses, followed by 40 years in the wilderness, and finally, the conquest of Canaan under Joshua. This is the foundational story. But what does the ground beneath our feet reveal? Modern scholarship, largely driven by archaeology, suggests a different, more nuanced emergence. Instead of an external conquering force, early Israelites likely arose from the indigenous Canaanite population. These early Israelites were probably a mix of rural villagers, displaced peasants, and pastoral groups, perhaps joined by some who fled Egypt. While the Exodus story might hold a kernel of historical truth, it's widely believed to have been reshaped over time, perhaps reflecting the experiences of smaller groups that later became a national saga. For instance, despite meticulous Egyptian records, there is a notable absence of archaeological evidence for a large-scale migration across the Sinai as described in the Bible. The earliest direct mention of Israel outside the Bible appears on the Merneptah stele, an ancient Egyptian inscription from around 1208 BCE. It refers to Israel as a people, not yet a state. This supports the idea of a gradual, indigenous emergence, rather than a sudden, singular conquest. The history of ancient Israel and Judah primarily unfolds during the Iron Age. Iron Age, I saw the initial appearance of Israelite villages in the hill country, characterized by unique pottery and the distinctive four-room house. The population in the highlands doubled, indicating significant settlement. Iron Age, too, witnessed the full emergence, development, and eventual collapse of the Israelite kingdoms. The Bible speaks of a united monarchy under Saul, David, and Solomon, a golden age with a vast empire and the building of the first temple in Jerusalem. However, archaeologists debate the scale of this empire, while Jerusalem was likely a modest settlement in the 10th century. BCE discoveries like the Tel Dan stele, which mentions a house of David, and excavations at Khirbet Qeiyafa, suggesting a centralized state in Judah, lend support to a real, though perhaps smaller, unified kingdom. Around 930 BCE, the monarchy divided into two distinct entities. The larger, more populous Kingdom of Israel in the north, with its capital at Samaria, and the smaller, more stable Kingdom of Judah in the south, centered on Jerusalem. Israel experienced frequent dynastic changes, but under Omri and Ahab, it reached a peak of military strength, even joining a coalition against the Assyrians. Judah, meanwhile, maintained dynastic stability under the House of David and the First Temple in Jerusalem as its religious heart. Both kingdoms faced immense pressure from the expanding Neo-Assyrian Empire. In the 8th century BCE, Assyria conquered the northern kingdom of Israel, leading to the deportation of its population and the legend of the lost tribes. Judah became an Assyrian vassal, but eventually fell to the Neo-Babylonian Empire. In 587–586 BCE, Jerusalem was besieged, the First Temple destroyed, and its elites exiled to Babylon. This Babylonian captivity was traumatic, yet it profoundly shaped Judaism, fostering a strong Hebrew identity and leading to the compilation of significant portions of the Hebrew Bible. The Persian Empire, under Cyrus the Great, later allowed the Jews to return and rebuild their temple, marking the beginning of the Second Temple period. Ancient Israel and Judah were situated at a geopolitical crossroads, constantly interacting with powerful empires. Egypt was a complex partner. The Exodus narrative portrays an oppressive pharaoh, reflecting early resistance. Yet, later, King Solomon forged alliances through political marriages. Judah's ill-fated alliance with Egypt against Babylon ultimately contributed to its downfall. Mesopotamian empires, Sumer, Assyria, Babylonia, and Persia, profoundly influenced Israel's fate. Assyria destroyed the northern kingdom. Babylon destroyed Judah and the First Temple, initiating the exile. But it was the Persian Empire, under Cyrus the Great, that allowed the Jews to return and rebuild. The Hellenistic Age, ushered in by Alexander the Great, brought Greek cultural influence, leading to the translation of Jewish scriptures into Greek. Finally, the Roman Empire absorbed the region, leading to major Jewish revolts. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE and the renaming of Jerusalem. Despite these devastations, Jewish life persisted, evolving into the rabbinic movement that shaped modern Judaism. Archaeology provides the tangible evidence that complements and sometimes challenges the biblical narrative. Here are just a few landmark discoveries. The Merneptah stele, the earliest non-biblical mention of Israel as a people. The Tel Dan stele, referencing a House of David, providing the earliest extra-biblical evidence for a Davidic dynasty. The Messiah stele, a Moabite inscription recounting a revolt against Israel and mentioning Yahweh, the Israelite deity. The black obelisk of Shalmaneser III, depicting Jehu of Israel paying tribute to the Assyrian king, the only known pictorial representation of an Israelite king. The Lachish letters, pottery shards with military messages, offering direct insight into the Babylonian threat before Judah's fall. Khirbat Kiyava, a fortified city whose urban plan and radiocarbon dating suggests a centralized state in Judah. During the period traditionally associated with King David, the Ketiv Hinnom amulets, tiny silver amulets containing parts of a biblical blessing, the oldest copies of any biblical text ever found. The Dead Sea Scrolls, hundreds of scrolls providing crucial insights into Jewish religious life and the development of biblical canons during the Second Temple period. The study of ancient Israel is a vibrant field, marked by ongoing debates. One prominent discussion is the minimalist versus maximalist debate. Minimalists, like Israel Finkelstein, are highly skeptical of early biblical narratives, arguing they often reflect later Iron Age concerns or ideological constructs, lacking strong archaeological corroboration. They pushed the historical starting point for verifiable Israelite existence much later. Maximalists, such as William G. Daver, are more inclined to find archaeological support for biblical narratives, though often for a more modest rather than grand kingdom. Scholars like Amihai Mazar often take a centrist view, finding correlations while acknowledging complexities. Today, the field emphasizes a multidisciplinary approach, integrating archaeology, inscriptions, and critical biblical studies. The goal isn't just to prove the Bible, but to reconstruct history as it was, using all available evidence to understand settlement patterns, societal structures, and religious practices within their broader ancient Near Eastern context. The history of Bani Israil is not a simple, linear tale, but a complex tapestry woven from ancient texts, groundbreaking archaeological discoveries, and continuous scholarly interpretation. From their debated origins in Canaan to the rise and fall of kingdoms and their profound interactions with mighty empires, the children of Israel forged a unique identity that continues to resonate today. This dynamic interplay between textual and material evidence ensures that our understanding of this ancient people is constantly evolving, challenging and enriching our grasp of the past. The journey to uncover their story is far from over, promising even more fascinating insights in the years to come.